What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame Show presented by Sleeper. Today, the Portland Trail Blazers lose in overtime in Dallas, 138-133 to the Dallas Mavericks after Cooper Flagg has some big plays in the second half after an absolute disaster class from the refs, and after what was a game in which every time the Blazers built to lead, they couldn't hang on to it, which is becoming a theme so far this season. This is a disastrous loss for the Portland Trail Blazers as they were going up against what were the 3-10 Dallas Mavericks, one of the worst teams in the league so far, missing Kyrie Irving, missing Anthony Davis. Didn't matter. Blazers couldn't get the job done. The defense continues to struggle, giving up 138 points. And yeah, there was an extra 5 minutes tacked onto this game, but the defense still a major disappointment. And we're going to break it all down and we're going to vent because this was a really frustrating loss. Eric, what's going on, man? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm actually great. The Blazers played awesome tonight, and I have nothing bad to say because there are certain people that hate when we say anything negative about the team. So I'm just gonna start off this show by saying, wow, the Blazers played awesome tonight. And this was a joy to watch, and I hope they continue to play like this.
Yeah, man. Hey, you know what? They competed for 53 minutes. You know, normally they only try and compete for 48 minutes, but they competed for an extra 5 minutes today. That's all we can ask for. Played really hard. You know, they tried to win, and sometimes, you know, you just can only try your best, right? So both teams played hard. And, yeah, you know, that's your guys' post-game show. Hopefully you guys have a good rest of your night. As always, peace out, go Blazers. Okay, all jokes out of the way. Shout out to Monopaman with a $3.50 donation. Says, bring back Drew and Scoot. The Blazers used to have a curse with big men injuries, and now they have a curse with point guard injuries. Because you have Scoot hurt, Drew hurt, Dame, well, I mean, they signed him hurt, but you could technically throw him in that category. Blake Wesley hurt. Yeah. We're going to break it all down, man. But first, I just have to get this off my chest and out of the way. I wanted to go live as soon after the game as possible because I am really freaking pissed off. And I am so tired of the way this league is reffed. I am beyond tired with the way this league is refereed. That foul out call against Deni Avdija was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. From a league that lets that stuff go every single play for an entire game and then chooses to call it there. Insane to me. Especially when they have all this bias against star players. Luka's not getting called for that. SGA's not getting called for that. But I guess Deni is still too new of a star for the league to give him any sort of respect. But even that aside, that's insane to call there. Absolutely insane to call there when that sort of stuff happens literally every freaking play. That call was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And then on a following play in overtime, Shaden Sharpe drives to the rim, gets hammered on a dunk, and it's a no call. It's a no call. It felt like the reffing in this game was not consistent. I am tired of coming up here on postgame shows complaining about refs. Even when the Blazers were good, when we started this channel 5-6 years ago, I never complained about refs this much. I don't want to come out here complaining about refs every freaking game, but it has been awful this year. It has been downright terrible this year. The inconsistency of which stuff gets called in this freaking league. Dallas shoots 40 free throw attempts today, and part of it is Portland needs to get better at not fouling. So it's not necessarily an excuse for that issue that Portland is definitely struggling with right now. But oh my goodness, is this league not refereed consistently, and it's driving me crazy. I've talked about it in previous postgame shows. They just pick and choose whatever they want to call. Oh, a little bit of hand fighting that happens every single play. Deni Avdija has 5 fouls. Oh, you're fouled out. That's insane to me. That's ludicrous. That pisses me off. I'm getting tired of feeling like this league is the WWE with the way they almost manufacture things with what they pick and choose with what they call. I am sick of it. It's a problem across this league, and it has plagued the Portland Trail Blazers, and it plagued them in the second half, where the refs are not consistent at all, and it's super frustrating.
Yeah. Same time, what are you doing holding on to his arm?
That happens every play. Every play. All game. That doesn't get called.
Call it, but you have.
So you're doing something that happens every play.
onus. What are you doing holding his arm? Like he tried to get away and he held onto his arm. Like you cannot.
That happens
like,
every time down the floor. It's impossible for a guy, in my opinion, it's impossible for a guy to defend away. Both teams defend this way every time down the floor. It's almost natural instinct. Hand fighting is very normal. It happens every play. Happens every single play. Especially like early in transition.
He just grabbed
that stuff happens all the time and it doesn't get called, and then it gets called in that instance. I think that's BS.
I agree it's BS. That's a no call. But like Deni can't put himself into this position to have the refs call that. And I do feel like the NBA should call more of that stuff that happens off ball, the holding off ball and stuff. Maybe not to that extent.
There would be
but
200 whistles a game.
I know, but it would clean up all the mess off ball.
This is the problem, and I think you've seen this defensively. It's like the reffing has been so inconsistent this year. I mean, Donovan Clingan like has his arms like not perfectly vertical, but Clay just shoots the ball into his arms. That's the only thing that makes contact, and it's a foul. Like you can tell that these guys are struggling with the lack of consistency ref-wise, and that's just insane to me that they would call that, man. That's insane to me that they would call that. And the lack of consistency is a problem. I've always said this. If the referee, if refs want to blow a tight whistle because, you know, that's just the way they're going to ref the game, as long as it's consistent with both teams and they get the opportunity to adjust to that whistle throughout the game because it's a consistent whistle, okay, fine, fair. If they want to let a bunch of stuff go, okay, fine, that's fair too. But the inconsistency and the ticky-tack BS on one end and then letting Dallas get away with murdering Sharpe on a dunk attempt is just insane to me. And then late in this game, the ball clearly goes out off Cooper flag and they give it to Dallas. And Portland didn't have a challenge left, so we can criticize Tiago for using his challenge on a block charge call, which at this point you should just never challenge, even though I thought it was clearly a charge against Daniel Gafford on Tamani Kamara. They're not going to overturn that because that's a bang-bang play, so it's not ever going to be conclusive unless it's clear as day. So, you know, ball off.
And Tamani was still sliding a little bit.
But he beat him to the spot, in my opinion. But, because he's moving a little bit, which isn't, you know, the rule is you have to win the battle to the spot. I thought Tamani beat him to the spot. But to your point, because it's an ambiguous, you know, like, is he moving? This, that, is he still establishing his position in the spot? Is he in legal guarding position? Whatever. It's so ambiguous that when you challenge block charge calls, it never goes your way, it seems like. Even when I thought, if that play was called a charge and then Dallas challenged it, I don't think it would have gotten overturned either. So that's the problem with challenging those. But ball clearly goes off Cooper flag. They still give it to Dallas. I mean, there was just so many blown calls, and there's been so many bad calls all year. It just felt like Portland was getting called for calls that Dallas would get away with against them. It did not feel consistent in that regard. And if you're an offensive player and you're getting hit and you're getting bodied and they're not calling stuff, and then you go down there and you do the same stuff and you're getting called, I mean, how the hell are you supposed to fairly compete in a game? Like, because the other team's getting away with stuff that you're not allowed to do. And it felt like that the second half, and it was insane to me. And yeah, there were some calls that maybe went Portland's way, but I just think the overall feel of this game and the overall feel I've had all season is the refereeing is insanely inconsistent right now and botched multiple calls in that overtime and screwed this game up. Now, Portland in their own right did things to lose this game as well, so it's not necessarily an excuse. I'm just so freaking sick and tired of it, and I have to get that off my chest.
Yeah, it is frustrating, and it leads to kind of chaotic moments on the court where it feels like everything's going against certain teams or whatever. But like you just mentioned, I feel like we had chances to win this game in regulation as well, and shouldn't have let it get to overtime. But
why do we have to fight a uphill battle against more than just the other team, though?
I don't know. I didn't think it was. I didn't think the refs were the reason we lost this game, but
I mean, it was overtime, so one bad call here and there. I thought there was a few in the second half changes the complexion of this game.
Yeah, I just so. This is my frustration. We get in the penalty like pretty much every quarter. First quarter, 4 minutes and 25 seconds left. City Sissoko checks into the game. commits a stupid foul at half court, they get free throws, and the Blazers had several of those instances in this game where it's just like stupid fouls off ball, stupid fouls, pressuring too much, just being too over aggressive. And it led to them getting in the penalty easily. And then you have several players in foul trouble in this game. Sharpe had 3 or 4 in the first half and had to be careful. Deni was in foul trouble and ends up fouling out. So I feel like part of the problem is we're getting out of position a lot, and it's leading to us having to foul a lot, and then it makes the ones that are questionable more magnified. But I do feel like Portland is being too foul heavy, and it's leading to getting put in these situations.
It almost feels like our strategy this year was like, oh, let's pull an OKC and let's just play so physical. They can't call a foul on us every time, can they? Oh, well, yeah, they can. Yeah, they can. OKC gets away with stuff that we cannot. OKC gets away with stuff that other teams cannot. I don't know why. It's not like they're a big market. They're a small market. But the inconsistency is not just in a single game. It's from team to team to team. It's not consistent. So ain't no way they're calling that call on Deni on Lou Dort. Lou Dort does that and more every single time down the floor and is still able to remain in games and still doesn't foul out of games. It would never get called for that crap. You know what I mean? We can't get away with what OKC can get away with, unfortunately. But at some point it's like you got to adjust and you got to stop fouling so much when they're calling a tight whistle and you're not getting away with stuff. But sometimes I see us play soft defense and it's like, man, they're trying really hard not to foul. That's why the defense is so soft. There's multiple times throughout this game where I felt like, the guys are getting beat off the dribble because they're trying to make sure that there's no contact because they're worried about a foul call. And it's just like, how are you supposed to play defense? How are you supposed to play defense?
Yeah, at the same time, though, I mean, Tamani Kamara is getting muscled under the basket by Brandon Williams for a lay-in, and our defense is just Swiss cheese at times too. So it does feel like the defensive problems are. I feel like we're behind the play a lot, and that's causing contact a lot of. And the refs are being put in a situation where they have to call it. Now, that doesn't excuse the Deni one, but I feel like a lot of the other fouls are, it's a late rotation or someone's wide open and you have to come across the paint to try and tag him or whatever, and we're just not getting there in time because of our overextension on the perimeter.
This team is giving up way too much dribble penetration right now. Way too much dribble penetration right now. Some of the wide open threes they get is just because, they have only one shooter on the weak side of the floor. So when we help over from the weak side of the floor into dribble penetration, there's, Clingan will step up to take care of the drive, and then the person guarding the weak side corner will step in on the big to take away the dump-off pass, and there's nobody else on that side of the floor to rotate out to the quarter shooter once the ball gets kicked out to them. We saw so many wide open threes in this game, and they shoot 15 for 34 or 44% from three. It's a great clip there. They shoot 51% from the field. We're talking about a team without Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. Where the hell did this defense go? They're starting Brandon Williams at point. You turn him over 15 times. I told people they were not going to be able to turn over other teams 20 times a game. And that should never be the plan because that is such an unsustainable turnover mark to constantly generate. That's like impossible. They generated a ton of turnovers at the start of the season when teams were still getting up to speed. Early season basketball is always kind of a mess with dumb turnovers and, stuff's not really clicking yet. And the Blazers took advantage of that and forced an insane amount of turnovers. Now they can't force more than 15 turnovers against a team that's starting Brandon Williams at point guard, a guy who used to be on a two-way contract with us 3 years ago and is more of a... I mean, he had some nice passes in this game, and he's been passing the ball decently well this year, but he's always kind of been like an undersized combo guard to me. But they're not able to force turnovers. But they're still gambling, man. They are still gambling. Like, there's multiple times where somebody's trying super hard to play the passing lane, one pass away, and lunges for a steal and doesn't get it. And then their guy's wide open to either shoot or drive and force a bunch of rotations, and then you have all these shooters that are wide open. And the Blazers are constantly gambling, constantly overplaying, and they're giving up a ton of dribble drive because of it. And essentially, opposing offenses are able to play the style of basketball that the Portland Trail Blazers offense supposedly wants to play, where, we're just going to get drive, kick, drive, kick, drive, kick. Teams are playing downhill at us all the time because we are so aggressive on the perimeter. There is way too much dribble penetration. In no way, shape, or form should you give up 51% from the field and 44% from three and send them to the line 40 times. Yes, the refs helped them out in that regard. I just ranted about it. But my goodness, all three of those areas, defending inside the arc, defending outside the arc, not sending teams to the free throw line for a bunch of free throws. They brutally failed in all three areas once again. I know they didn't have Drew Holiday, but you still have Kamara. You still got Deni. You still got Grant. You still got Clingan. This defense, I can officially say, has taken a step back from last year. They are the 18th ranked defense in adjusted defensive rating. We were talking about this team on paper, hopefully being able to compete for the 5th best adjusted defensive rating this season. Last year, they were 13th in adjusted defensive rating. Then they trade Anthony Simons for Drew Holiday, and somehow their defense has taken a step backwards. It's inexcusable. It's insane that people try and come here and say, like, well, they need Matisse and Blake Wesley to play 15 minutes a game off the bench. BS, they didn't have Matisse basically all of last year, and they didn't have Blake Wesley, and they had Anthony Simons playing instead of Drew Holiday, and they were able to be the 13th best defense. Ayton was not good defensively last year, and he was starting at center for most of the year, and they were able to be 13th best. There is no excuse for this defense taking such a step back, and it's infuriating to me to just watch them get blown by constantly, watch them gamble in passing lanes constantly, and you can see teams adjust where it's like, all right, you throw the ball, you swing the ball, you better swing it fast and swing it to the outside hand because Portland's going to be gambling in that passing lane, and if you can get the ball past them, then you have an advantage. And teams are recognizing this. You can tell by the way they're passing along the wing. They're zipping it. They're throwing it a little bit away from the defender so he can't reach it. And Portland's just out there lunging at balls, and then their whole defense breaks down. And that's how you give up 138 to Dallas. That's how you give up 140 to Houston. That's how you end up. They're trending towards being a bottom 10 defense, which is freaking inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable for this team.
Yep, and then there's a play towards the end where I think Jeremy and Shaden got confused on whether they were switching the screen or not, but Sharpe ends up isolated with Brandon Williams, and he has no help to his left. He has plenty of help to his right and just lets him drive on him left and get a lay-in on him. And those are the kind of breakdowns in our defense that that same thing happened. Brandon Williams took Tamani off the dribble with no screen twice in the fourth quarter and overtime. It's just we're just getting beat. We're like it's something that has to change there. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think they definitely hunted Sharpe down the stretch. I thought Sharpe struggled. He struggles containing dribble penetration. But Sharpe's supposed to be your worst defender in the lineup, right? So it's like, okay, almost no team in the league is going to have 5 great defenders in the starting lineup. There's always going to be that guy that other teams try and target, and you just have to know how to defend around that. And this team doesn't know how to defend around that. And that play that you brought up is a great example. The problem is when Toumani Camara at times looks like a bad on-ball defender. Mm-hmm. But I don't even think it's necessarily like Toumani's lost a step or lost defensive ability. He plays up so hard. He's always trying to play in the passing lane. It gets him out of position, and it gives lanes for guys to drive once they catch the ball against him. And then even if
he's gambling for steals too.
Yeah, and even if the player in front of him has the ball, he's trying to pressure up so much against short, quick guards. And it's giving them a lane, and they're quick, so they take advantage of it. That's what happened down the stretch with Brandon Williams. And it's entirely the premise of this defense has swung too far to being aggressive. Like, they're being too aggressive. Way too aggressive. We talked about it last stream. At this point, They need to buckle down and just focus on fundamentals and not gambling so much and just trying to be solid on that end of the floor. Because when you give up 140 to Houston, you give up 138 to Dallas with a rookie leading the charge. I know it's Cooper Flagg, but it's a rookie leading the charge. And when you're 18th in adjusted defensive rating at this point, when you were 13th last year, when you were playing aggressive but not this aggressive, in my opinion, what changed? Your roster got better defensively, but your style, you're trying to become even more aggressive, and it's literally backfiring. It's backed up statistically. It's obvious on tape. At some point, they're going to have to sit back and defend instead of just trying to. They're like a football team that's blitzing 7 guys every time down because they have a bunch of great pass rushers. But opposing offenses are like, all right, you're going to blitz 7. All right, we'll leave the running back to block, and we're going to have one-on-one with our best receiver, and he's going to have a lot of space because you're sending everybody into the backfield, and we're just going to bang, bang, bang. That's the equivalent of what the Portland Trail Blazers are doing right now. So at some point,
they're not going to be enough to do that. The metaphor is the turnovers. Yeah, they're not creating enough of those to make it worth what they're doing right now. Also, and they're still pressuring up at a historic rate. Like it's by far the most since that data has started being tracked. Yeah.
And it's not resulting. I'm gonna have to grab my laptop charger, but I'll leave with this. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. 7 fast break points. It's not resulting in fast break points.
Nope.
They're not running the floor at all. At all. The fast-paced offense, where's that? Literally, their identity on defense is crumbling, and they have not made any progress towards building an identity on offense. They are once again becoming a team without an identity. Well, I guess their identity is we're going to blitz 7 every time, every snap.
Yep.
That's not a great identity. Their identity is backfiring. So this team needs to do some soul searching. Tiago needs to adjust. I know he wasn't the head coach coming into the season, but he's the head coach now. Chauncey's not coming back. It's his first true test as an NBA head coach. It's time for him to adjust. It's time for him to figure some things out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and 2, I mean, really the defense gives up that wide open 3 to PJ Washington that he airballs, but he was 5 of 6 from 3, and we're giving him a wide open 3. There was a few plays before that we gave up a wide open 3 to Klay Thompson that he just happened to miss when he was finally shooting well for once this season. It's like, so our defense actually got lucky a couple times too with giving up really bad shots that didn't go in. So yeah, it was pretty frustrating that we couldn't stop this team that had struggled to win games. Only 3-10 coming into tonight. But we let another team shoot 50% from the field, and they hit just enough threes. We continue to chuck threes, 47 of them. I know a couple of those we had to shoot at the end, but it's still way too many for how little you're shooting. And yeah, it's just bad recipe right now. But we still should have maybe won this game. Like that's the other frustrating part is that we had a couple of chances there in the last few possessions of the fourth quarter to win the game, and didn't get the greatest looks either. Tori will be back in a second. I think his laptop might have died because he said he was needing his charger.
All right,
but we got 113 shots of, yeah, like Nick says in chat. That's
so 47 3-point attempts. We make 14. We shoot 30%. Okay. Today, I know Chris made 2 in a row. Oh my goodness! Round of applause if you're at home. Clap, because Chris Murray made 2 threes in a row. All right. Clingan also made 2 threes. Okay, 2 threes. So I guess that's a reason to celebrate. They were 4 for 8. Okay, they were 50%. Outside of them, we were even worse than 30%, which isn't good because those 2 guys are not supposed to be our shooters. But here's the problem. When did Ryan Repair even play? My internet went out at a couple times in this game. I see 0 minutes, 0 for 2 from 3. Is that correct?
I don't remember him taking 2 threes, but he did play for a little bit. He had a foul.
Oh, I'm looking at the ESPN box scores. It puts points on the left, and I think it's minutes. So I'm seeing like 0. I thought it was 0 minutes. Okay, he played 5 minutes. Okay. So let's just do the math here. Okay, let's just do the math here real quick. Ryan Repair last year was a 27% 3-point shooter. This year he's a 25% 3-point shooter. Okay. We have Shaden Sharpe.
Yeah, there were 2 step backs. That's right. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. We have Shaden Sharpe this year. He's a 27% 3-point shooter. Okay. We have Donovan Clingan. Before this game, he was an 18% 3-point shooter. Now he's above 20%. Okay. We got guys shooting percentages that wouldn't even be that good of batting averages, by the way. But Clingan, all right, another guy in the 20s. Okay. Caleb Love, his whole college career, right around 30%. Okay, right around 30%. Sidy Cissoko, for his career, is shooting 17% from 3. Okay.
Oh, that was the other thing while we're talking about City.
The 3.
There was a play, yeah, so I forgot who passed it to him, but someone dribbles the ball up the court, passes to him on the side. That's not a shot, dude. You got a guy standing right in your face and you decide to let that fly with like 16 seconds on the shot clock? What are you doing? Like the recognition, the awareness of this team, and then these players that are getting minutes. I know they had to play tonight, so that's part of the problem, but like just the lack of awareness from some of these guys to come in this game and shoot shots like that when you're on a freaking 2-way, dude. Like freaking check yourself and just play within the system and don't screw up when you come in, please. Yeah. I'm so sick of these guys coming in the game and chucking up threes like they're back in college or G League or wherever you came from and you're the star again. Like you are not a star. You're never going to be a 3-point shooter in the NBA with that form. So just quit shooting the 3-point shot unless you're wide the frick open on a kick out, then maybe shoot it. But like some of the threes we took tonight with guys who should not even be in the game, let alone shooting threes in those situations, was ridiculous.
Yeah. So I named 6 guys: Clingan, Sharpe, Chris Murray, Caleb Love, Sidy Cissoko, Ryan Repair. All guys are somewhere in the 20%, 20 to 30% behind the arc as 3-point shooters. Okay. Those guys shot a combined 15, 17, 21, 22, 24. They shot 24 threes combined.
Yeah.
All guys that are below 30% 3-point shooters in this game shot 24 threes. Now, Chris Murray was 2 for 2. And Donovan Clingan was 2 for 6. So it looks a little better. But that might be the only game this year where both those guys make multiple threes in the same game. There's no way it's happened before. Right? Like, we're talking about a guy that's like 20% in Clingan and then 25% in Chris Murray. Okay? But combined, they go 7 for 24. With Chris Murray doing a lot of heavy lifting, going 2 for 2. Okay, 7 for 24 is roughly 29%, 30%. So it's like right in line with what we shot. Now, I better not hear Tiago Splitter say, we just missed shots. Because 30%, when you get as many threes attempted by those guys as you did, is actually overachieving.
It's a make or miss league, though.
Yeah. we made more threes than we probably should have today. That's the problem with the roster. I know it's guys that shouldn't be playing, but my goodness, Joe Cronin. I know you love the archetype of defensive wings with a little bit of athleticism that can handle the ball a little bit and do a little bit of everything but make threes. Feel free to get one of these guys that can actually make threes. Please. Please. Like, our two-way guys, none of them are good shooters. Like, yeah, at least find a two-way guy that can knock down a three. Replace Ryan Repair. Like, that experiment's dead. Replace Ryan Repair with somebody that can make a three. You can go out and find a three-point specialist, especially in today's day and age. It's easier than ever. But you wouldn't know it by looking at this roster. You would not know it.
Well, Dwop doesn't even play tonight, and he's been our best three-point shooter this year.
Yep. But no, I mean, we passed up on a great three-point shooter in Cedric Coward to draft a big man that we say can shoot, but shot 27% in the CBA last year from three. We draft Donovan Clingan, a drop big, who never really shot threes in college, but oh man, his three-point shot impressed us in draft workouts. Does this team just have no idea how to evaluate three-point shooting? Like they can't even look at percentages? I mean, come on. So, you got Deni and Sharpe and Grant against the world, essentially, because nobody can shoot. Tamani's in the lower 30s, and he was 1 for 7 from 3 today. He's almost below that 30% threshold. And 30% is still far below average. The average three-point percentage, you wouldn't know it if you only watched the plays. The average three-point percentage is like 36%. That's average. That would be amazing to come close to that. So they want to shoot a bunch of threes is the problem. We're talking identity here in this postgame show. They want to shoot a bunch of threes. They have all these guys at the end of the bench that don't know how to shoot, but apparently have the total green light to just chuck up whatever they want from three. City Sissoko had an awful air ball today. And then they sit there in the post-game press conference and say, yeah, we just didn't make shots. Well, you got a bunch of guys that literally don't make shots that you're allowing to shoot a bunch of shots that they can't make, that they don't make. And what, you expect something different? And not only that, it's like, if you're going to have guys that don't shoot well, have them actually making an impact defensively. It doesn't feel like Sissoko's making an impact. You talked about that dumb foul he had. He had 3 fouls in 12 minutes, so he contributed to the foul problems today. Caleb Love's not a defender. He had a horrible foul of Najee Marshall on a three-point attempt. Ryan Repair, I guess, can play a little bit of defense, but he's so bad offensively that you just can't play him. And then Chris Murray can play some defense. That's why he plays 32 minutes a game. That's why he plays ahead of those guys, because he's actually like the one consistent defender, I guess. But yeah, I hate the makeup of the bench, the like deep bench, because yeah, you shouldn't expect Sissoko to come in and do anything, but like, man, go find it, the next AJ Green, somebody that can come in 5 minutes, might make a couple threes and space the floor. That'd be awesome.
Well, and then you play Caleb Love like he is one of those guys, and he's not. Remember when we signed him and everyone's like, oh yeah, we found our next shooter, and like
and then Summer League and people were trying to victory lap, and I was like, guys, he's a 30%er in college.
Yeah. And but he comes in the game and he'll chuck up those threes, man. He had one nice move where he had a nice high finish off the glass, but dude comes in, just like I was talking about with City Sissoko. Dude comes in on a two-way and just starts chucking like he's like a starting point guard in this league or something. It's so like, I don't understand why this is our team. Like, why are we resorting to like letting these guys do all these things in a game that they have no business doing?
That's the problem I have, is you have all these guys that don't shoot, but you give them the ultimate green light, it feels like, and you want them shooting a bunch of threes. It's insane to me that the calculus, the math here is, we're going to go into games with a bunch of guys that can't shoot 30% from three, and we're going to have them shoot 24 threes and then expect to make enough shots to win. Where if we don't make enough shots, then we can sit here and use that as an excuse. The math is awful there. The math does not check out there. The math doesn't work there. But that seems to be their game plan, to just have a bunch of guys chuck a bunch of threes. I mean, Clingan was an 18%er going into this game. And he goes 2 for 6, and it's like a miracle that he went 2 for 6. That's 33%. Anybody shooting 33% or below probably shouldn't be taking 6 threes in a game, but this is a great shooting game for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's where we're at.
So, speaking of Clingan, though, the dude was an absolute monster. There was that one possession where he single-handedly got like 4 rebounds. Like, we had, 22 offensive rebounds total in this game? Like, the guy was insane around the basket in this game. Like, having a really awesome game. Yet, there's so many possessions. There he is outside the perimeter in no position to get an offensive rebound. It's like, why is that the way we're attacking teams? Like, I do not understand, Tori, why we would ever have him float around the perimeter or pop on a screen. I do not get it.
Somebody tried to tell me on Twitter, oh, it's called development. They're developing him as a shooter. That's why he's shooting so many. You look at Brook Lopez, okay? Look at Brook Lopez. And I went and looked up Brook Lopez's stats, okay? Because I was like, okay, yeah, let's look at Brook Lopez's stats. Before the 2016-2017 season, Brook Lopez never shot more than 0.2 threes per game, okay? So, like, he barely shot them. I mean, how many of those might have been, like, half-court heaves or whatever, right? The first year he started shooting threes basically at all was 2016-2017. He started shooting 5.2 a game, okay? But he was shooting 34.6%. Mm-hmm. He was shooting almost 35%. He didn't have this year where he's shooting 3 a game at 20% and popping on every screen. That is not how you develop three-point shooting. I don't think Clingan bricking a bunch of threes right now is doing a whole lot for his development behind the arc. If you want him shooting 1 to 2 a game, I get that, but you look at his last few games, it's more than that, and he's barely been making, and then he hit a couple today. So, like, all right, he hit a couple, so now he has to shoot 6. And it's just the way they're deploying him. He could probably get more offensive boards if he wasn't sitting on the perimeter so much. And with how many shots this team misses, that's right, pretty good to have.
Yeah, right? Yeah, the opportunities are definitely there, right? Dude, okay, I know he missed it, but that spin move he had, that was something I've never seen from him before, right?
I liked it.
I liked it too, even though he missed it. Like,
I wish he'd try and dunk that.
He probably missed it because he was like, holy crap, I just did a spin move and I'm wide open at the rim, and then you smoke it. But, like, dude, what if he had, like, some sort of short roll potential there? We know that in college he showed an ability to pass out of the high post. So, like, I feel like we're maybe missing out not only on the offensive rebounds, but if he has the, like, why are we giving him the green light to shoot threes versus maybe a post-up hook shot or, like, going down low and getting the ball and taking on a switch, taking a smaller guy inside or something like that. And just, or shoot, like, start by, I know, see, this goes back to the philosophy. Don't shoot unless it's a dunk or a lay-in or a three-pointer, right? But, like, to me, to develop a three-point shot, first you have to show the ability to kind of shoot anywhere outside of around the rim too. Like, you have to be able to shoot a free throw and a 15-foot jump shot, elbow jumpers, right? So why don't we start there? Just have him go to the elbows, like Ayton style, on some of these, and just work on first being able to hit an easier jumper and then expanding it out from there. If that's the goal, is to try to develop him as a shooter. I don't think it's working to just stand him out of the 3-point line and have him away from the basket so much.
This, like, everything that's happening was clearly the plan coming in. That's why I know somebody on the last post-game show was like, basically said, we're not criticizing Tiago specifically enough. But this was the plan. This offense and playing defense this way was the plan coming into the season. That was the plan under Chauncey Billups to start this season. It's not a good plan. It's just frankly not a good plan. The offense is not helping anything in the half court, and then the defense is a problem. The defense is too over aggressive. I'm not going to talk another 20 minutes on that. I've talked about that a ton lately. The offense, though, Eric. The offense is not, the system they're running is not helping anything.
Mm-hmm. I do. So before I say this, Shaden took, in my opinion, a couple bad threes again. And I mean, I felt like he kind of had to this game, not making excuses or whatever. But I actually, outside of 9 threes, I loved, even though he wasn't making a ton. I think it was like 9 for 27 at one point in this game.
Finished 12 for 32.
I loved how he had the mindset of attacking, and we almost won this game because him, in addition to Deni doing what he normally does, like he was going at the rim like almost the entire game. He made it a focal point to attack the rim, and it didn't work out as well as it could have probably, but I felt like we had to have someone do that because our offense is absolute trash. And I felt like Shaden actually tried to make it better, and he almost succeeded and won this game for us because of just how much he attacked. And like you mentioned earlier, he probably should have gotten the foul line a couple more times than he did, including that dunk attempt where he gets hit on the head, and for some reason that's not a foul. It's going to be very decisive. There's going to be a lot of people who just see his shooting numbers, and that's why I'm interested to see what you have to say about it. But I thought Sharpe was, I really enjoyed him trying to attack, even though it wasn't working out. What else were we going to do?
I agree. I like the mindset, and I agree that that's basically what they needed from him. On the other hand, he just has to make more shots because there was some finishes around the rim that normally he does actually finish that he missed. It seemed like Lively was bothering him a little bit. Lively had a big block on him. He's a really good rim protector. And he was 3 for 9 from 3, which is 33%. But like he had a couple open looks where it was just like, man, knock that down. You know, he had an air ball on a 3 that he pump faked and then took, where it was just like, all right, a natural shooter is not missing that bad because it was a light contest. It wasn't even that hard of a contest, you know. At the end of the day, like, the mindset was great, and I like that he was aggressive. You know, I talked about in previous years where he would kind of disappear and lack the aggressiveness that I want to see out of him. He's been insanely aggressive this year. I don't think any of his struggles this year are due to a lack of aggression. I also think he's starting to make some reads that he wasn't making earlier in the season. He had 6 assists today. So, you know, like the past couple of games as well, he has had a couple nice passes to there was one that stood out that was Clingan on a roll early last game where I don't think he sees that pass earlier in the season. Like, he was just not seeing the roll man at all earlier in the season. So that's great. It's just, you know, we always have this conversation every time he has a couple good games where I bring up, all right, is he turning a corner in terms of like consistency? And I think part of that's having the mindset to continuously attack even when you're struggling, but also just at the end of the day, like scoring the ball more efficiently on a consistent basis or a more consistent basis. And, you know, he was 12 for 32 tonight, which isn't great efficiency. So I agree with all like the mindset and attitude things. And there's going to be some games where you just don't miss shots. The best thing you could do is just be aggressive and have that mindset. So I think, you know, with how well he's been playing lately, like this game completely fine. You know, he just missed some shots that if he made, we probably win the game. And I hope that he makes going forward. It's just, yeah, I think the bigger picture conversation until he consistently like scores efficiently for a 30 game stretch or so is always just going to be like, can he actually consistently score efficiently?
Yeah, and the other thing is too, so I get on Deni about this sometimes, so I got to get on Shea too. Just the carelessness with the ball, especially at the beginning of this game. The turnovers where he's just dribbling up top and he just loses the ball to the defender, like right to his hands. Like he just dribbles it right to him basically, or he dribbles it off his leg or something. And then just getting stripped on some of his drives. I think it only happened once or twice in the second half, but in the first half it was rough. And then I was like, oh great, if he's if he's going to be like doing this, then who the heck do we have that's going to generate any offense? So he has to eliminate that, man. The some of the turnovers he had is just so, like, he's just being so careless with the ball. Um and I think he did do a much better job of not turning it over in late in this game in the fourth quarter and stuff. But it's just something, if you're going to be tasked to handle the ball a lot, like he's going to be if Drew's out, you have to take care of it, and you can't just lose it off the dribble as much as he did. It's one thing if you're making a cross court pass and it gets tipped or something, or you don't see a guy like helping off someone and you're trying to make the right read, but you see someone too late or something like that, and it's a bad pass. That's fine, but just losing the ball off a simple dribble when you're not even like really starting your move yet, like those turnovers are killer, man.
Yeah, he's a gifted scorer. I think just this is something, I don't know, this is going to be a criticism, but I think he kind of lacks lead guard skills at times, just with some of the reads he misses and some of like the ball handling issues he has, where there's a difference between like a high volume scorer and like a lead guard running the offense. And I thought today, despite those couple of mishaps, the 6 assists today and like some of the decisions he made, I actually think this was like a decent decision-making game from him. He shot 32 times, but I mean, what, do you want Sissoko shooting more airball threes? Like, do you want to see if Chris Murray can make 3 threes in a row? I don't. So I think the shot selection and some of the reason decision-making was pretty good in this game. I just think, we always have the conversation after he has a couple big games and everybody wants to act like he's arrived and he's on his way to stardom now, truly on his way to stardom. And it's just like, I need to see him be more consistent with taking care of the ball, with making the right read more consistently, with taking better shots, which I think helps his efficiency, and then just being more consistently efficient. Because it feels like he has potential in all those areas. It's just fulfilling it, I think, is the equation for him fulfilling his star potential, is cleaning up those areas and refining those areas and being a more complete offensive player. Because he's athletic, he's offensively gifted, great finisher. Like, he has pieces. He's just putting the puzzle together, and that's what I think goes into it. So it was I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, to that point, I felt like his turnovers tonight weren't decision-making ones. Like I said, he was just lost the ball several times driving in. So like
ball handling is,
yeah,
he has a lot of ball handling turnovers. That's one of the things that like goes into being a league guard, is being able to handle the ball, handle pressure, handle defenders stunting at you, that sort of stuff.
Absolutely, but I felt like I said, between the mindset and some of the passes he made today. He had a couple of nice where he got to the hoop, didn't have a shot, got in the air and like kicked it to Jeremy in the corner. I think decision making, it did look okay tonight. It wasn't, I don't think that was the problem. I think it was he was really, even some of the shots he made, like, were incredibly difficult and like probably don't go in super consistently. So he took a lot of tough shots tonight, but at the same time, I felt like he kind of had to in this game, because I'd much rather him drive and shoot 32 times than give like City or Caleb Love or Chris Murray more shots,
Yeah. I think this comparison kind of illustrates the like things that Sharpe needs to work on, or what I just tried to explain with him. Like, what's the difference between Cam Thomas and Devin Booker? Like, what's the biggest reasons why Devin Booker is a much better player? Because scoring wise, pretty similar. Devin Booker runs the offense, sets guys up, makes the right reads more consistently, on top of all the scoring talent. And that stuff is super, super important. And that makes Devin Booker, he's playing like an MVP candidate this year. While Cam Thomas, on a good team, is probably a sixth man. So those little things, I think, can create a huge difference between guys that are maybe similar caliber scorers, but like one can run your entire offense and orchestrate everything and be the guy, and one's just a scorer. So for Sharpe, doing more of the Devin Booker stuff, more of those little things, being able to run an offense, tightening up his handle, not being as turnover prone, making the right reads more consistently is all just the key for him. And that's why when he has a big scoring game but has, one assist or two assists, and it's just like he made a bunch of tough shots, it's like, okay, that's great. That's great. But when I say we're talking about wanting to see more from him consistently, a lot of what I'm wanting to see is the little stuff and making the right reads and setting up teammates and the stuff that I think separates a guy like Devin Booker from a guy like Cam Thomas.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cam Thomas doesn't pass at all either. that doesn't help.
He averages over 3 assists per game.
I mean, he the main ball handler.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of like the same thing is like Anthony's assists are different than, like Drew Holiday's assists, because Anthony got like 5 assists last year, but Anthony was more so like he's looking to score and then pass as a second option. Yeah. Whereas like Booker will look to score, but also look to get his teammates involved and balance it really well, right? So yeah, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah.
Sharpe is much closer to Booker than Thomas. I don't really see how we can say that yet. Because if we're sitting here saying Cam Thomas gets, 3-4 assists per game, I mean, Sharpe, he had 6 assists tonight, but he's a 2 assist a game guy, for as many shots as he's taken. He's taken, I think, like 22 field goal attempts per 36 minutes and getting 2 assists. He's pretty much a volume scorer right now, which is fine. It's just I want to see the growth there before I start to, compare him to guys that actually run offenses.
Yeah.
So like tonight I thought was good in that regard. So I mean this is a compliment for tonight's play, and this is kind of what I'm talking about wanting to see more of.
Yeah. So let's move on to Deni. What did you think, first of all, in the last play, and then just his game overall?
Well, there's this guy in chat that's just railing Deni, saying, "See, I told you he's trash." He's an all-star. He's literally an all-star. So I don't know when you tried to tell us he was trash, but he is an all-star right now. His play would have to take a major dip for him to not be an all-star. Okay, number one. So, yeah, he made some bad plays down the stretch. I'll get into those plays. But let's not sit here and be like, oh, because of those bad plays, he's trash. And we're talking about a dude that's averaging 25, 7, and 5 or whatever the hell his numbers are right now. Okay? We don't need to be that reactionary, number one. Number two, I hated the 2 shots he took at the end of regulation. Okay? I hated the 2 shots he took at the end of regulation. He's not really a mid-range shooter. So that shot was kind of weird with Brandon Williams on him. But also on that mid-range shot he took, there was 2 guys ready to help and smother him at the rim. So I kind of get it. I kind of understand it. Where if he puts his head down and drives against a smaller defender, yeah, that's great. And everybody's like, why didn't you do that? You have Brandon Williams guarding you. Well, he would have absolutely gotten smothered at the rim. I still would have liked the odds of him finding a way to finish or maybe kicking out to somebody that you hope can make a 3 than the mid-range shot. So I still don't like the equation, but I kind of understand the shot more than I think some people when you're just have a bunch of guys that don't shoot well around you and you're staring at 2 help side defenders. Okay. And then the shot at the end of the game, he's not Dame. He's not Dame, man. I mean, even Dame shoots those shots that would drive people crazy at the end of games. So Deni, absolutely. And I agree. He needs to get downhill there, try and get his way into the paint. That play to me, Eric, just seemed like he was trying to make sure he gets the last shot, and he doesn't really have a ton of experience in those situations. So he kind of didn't go, and then there's 2 seconds left, and it's like, okay, well, I got you a step back 3 now. Like he took too long to decide to make a move and was trying to time it up and then just said, screw it, I'm going to shoot a sidestep 3. So that was the bad play, but I hope that like that shot And him failing there is a learning experience for a guy that, in Washington, he was never the number one guy. And last year, how many close games were the Blazers in, right? So I do think that's a good experience for him, even though it was very, very brutal. But for his entire game, though, I mean, he was 10 for 20. He had 29 points, 7 assists, 6 boards, right? Very efficient, 7 for 7 from the line, 29 points on 20 shots. Like, all-star caliber performance once again tonight.
Yeah, on offense. Offense, yeah, he was.
Well, that's
was
mostly
really
what
good.
all-stars are. His offense
I know.
does.
But yeah, so this is why it was so frustrating to me those last couple plays, is because he is so good at driving and finishing in traffic, and to settle for that when you are that talented of a driver, that is frustrating. And if you're going to shoot that shot, you might as well have given it to Sharpe, in my opinion, because Sharpe was on the other side of the top, just waiting to get the ball. But man, that's why it sucks that he shot those shots, because I feel like we win this game if he just drives in and does his normal Deni stuff, because he's so good at it.
Yeah. Comment in chat from the guy that I just kind of called out for his Deni hate comment said, he hogs the ball. I don't think he will be an all-star, but I hope he makes every shot as a lifelong Blazer fan. I mean, he's played at an all-star level, easily at an all-star level. You go and look at what, people said. You'll see tweets from people that cover the NBA, like what the all-star team would be right now. You see them saying Deni would be an all-star, so it's not just biased Blazer fans sitting here telling you this. Like, he's playing at an all-star caliber level. I mean, Kevin Durant said it after last game. So he's absolutely playing at an all-star caliber level. So if he keeps this up, I would be shocked if he's not an all-star, number one. Number two, he hogs the ball. Well, you're talking about he averages five assists a game as a power forward that's really gifted scoring the ball. Listen, on this team, okay, I will not give anybody crap for being a ball hog if they're scoring efficiently, because the rest of this team struggles to score efficiently. So Deni Avdija scores efficiently. If he never passed the ball because he shoots so much, but he shoots almost 50% from the field and he's shooting 37% from three, that's a good thing, because the alternative is having guys that shoot much worse than that taking these shots. You need Deni to be aggressive. So I don't really understand that comment.
So I'd just like to ask a question, okay? He takes 20 shots tonight, which I feel like he should have probably taken more outside of those 2 bad shots. He probably should have been more aggressive like Sharpe was. But so Chris Murray off the bench, Robert Williams off the bench, Caleb Love off the bench, CD Sissoko off the bench, Ryan Rupert off the bench, Donovan Clingan starter, Jeremy Grant tonight 7 to 20. He was 4 for 9 from 3, but terrible inside the arc, 3
Shot
for 11.
Just as many field goal attempts as Deni.
So, Tamani 5 of 13, 1 of 7 from 3. Who the heck do you want to shoot more shots? Like, did you want Sharpe then to shoot 50 shots and Deni not to shoot? Like, where are we going with this? Like, come on. Like, if you're gonna accuse someone of ball hogging, at least present a situation why him not ball hogging would be more beneficial to this team. But I feel like Deni taking 100 shots a game right now is better than the alternatives. So, like, I do not think it is possible to call anyone on this team a ball hog who is at least one of the top 6 players on this team. Like, I feel like those 6 players should be taking all the shots, and I don't think anyone on this team, those 6 players, should be called a ball hog outside of if they're like 0 for 30 or something and they're continuing to shoot. But like,
he had 7 assists tonight to guys that can't make shots. So yeah, absolutely. He had 7 assists for his 20 field goal attempts. Like, he's passing the guys that don't shoot well. They actually brought up this stat on the broadcast. Shaden Sharpe shoots 42% from 3 on Deni Avdija assists, which means when it's not Deni passing him the ball, he's probably like 20%. He's probably half that, right? And Deni, if anything, is maybe a little too unselfish. I talked about it last year. right? Do you guys remember me talking about how I wish Deni would be a little bit more selfish because I think he could score efficiently at a higher volume, like he could be an efficient 20-plus point per game scorer? Well, this year he's being more aggressive, and he's scoring efficiently, 25 points per game. If anything, a game like this, he should have put his head down a little bit more and tried to be a little bit more aggressive, because when it wasn't him, I mean, the rest of the team shot 36 for 93. That's not a good percentage. It's like 40%, 39%. It's not efficient basketball. He and Clingan were the only guys that scored efficiently tonight. So, I want Deni to be aggressive. This offense needs him to be super aggressive, especially without Drew in a game like this. I mean, they needed Sharpe to be aggressive today, and Sharpe, I have no problem with him taking 32 field goal attempts and only making 12 of them in this game. I just want him to consistently cash in shots that I think he should be a little bit more consistent at, especially behind the three-point line. But, we already had that conversation. So I thought Deni's performance was great. The couple of shots down the stretch, tough jumpers, learning experience. But also, man, I think if he had shooters around him, I don't think he's shooting that mid-range. I think he's trusting his teammates. I think for somebody like him, watching guys brick threes game in, game out, they're one of the worst shooting teams in the league. It must be hard to decide what to do. The right play maybe isn't the best play. And when you start being put in situations like that as a main guy where the textbook right play, the right pass is maybe a less efficient play than you taking a tough shot, and you're trying to win a game, it's hard to fault you for taking a tough shot, even if you miss it, because I understand the mindset, the calculus there is you trust yourself more than other players on the roster. And I'm sure Deni doesn't feel that way. Deni's the type of guy to have a lot of confidence in his teammates, but maybe subconsciously in the moment, it's I need to make something happen. And that mindset leads to that tough mid-range shot. But that mindset is kind of what we need him to have.
And that's exactly what we said about Sharpe earlier, too. I feel like those two being aggressive was the key to winning tonight. And, unfortunately, it just wasn't enough.
Yep. This loss is a bummer, man. This loss is a bummer. We'll take a look at the road ahead here. We'll go through some more players. We've talked... You want to touch a little bit more upon Clingan. We've talked about his usage. It's very frustrating the way he's used. It's pretty much just a spot-up three-point threat. I mean, 6 for 11. Yeah. More than half his shots were from three today.
Yeah. I thought he played a really good game at times in this one. I was a little frustrated with how long we stuck with the small lineup with Chris Murray. It's one thing if we're sticking with the small lineup when it's Drew and Jeremy and those five with our other starters. But when you're missing one of your starters, and so it's 4 players and then Chris Murray off the bench, I wonder what would have happened in this game if we had a little bit more protection around the rim for some of those late game situations in both the fourth quarter and overtime.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It'd be nice to have a backup center that they felt comfortable playing more than 10 minutes a game. 15 minutes a game. I mean, Robert Williams played 17 minutes tonight, and he was +5. I guess those minutes were
well, I was or at least put him in some of those situations.
Yeah, I don't really understand the notion of going small at all when Robert Williams is probably your best player off the bench right now. There's really no justification to go small when you're taking both Clingan and Robert Williams out of the game to play Caleb Love or City Sissoko more minutes.
Yeah.
Those guys aren't really helping you as a small ball lineup, especially, Sissoko. It's when you go small, you want to have shooting, but those guys aren't adding shooting. Repair's not adding any shooting. Chris Murray, outside of tonight, isn't adding any shooting. So you're not really accomplishing anything by going small. They're not running by going small. They had 7 fast break points tonight. So their small ball lineups, they struggle on the glass, and they go small, and then they just get torched Rebounding wise, I don't know what the number is. Let me look. Opponent offensive rebound percentage. They're third worst in the league at defensive rebounding. And not just like giving up defensive rebounds per game, because if you play at a fast pace, there's just going to be more of everything, but like defensive rebounding percentage, the percentage of available defensive rebounds. The Blazers are grabbing the third least in the league. But then they go small. You know, it was only for 3 minutes in today's game, but they go small, and that becomes more of an issue. They have to figure out how to rebound. But also, here's going back to the identity crisis that we've been talking about. Well, where'd the headline go? That's strange. There we go. When they're playing out aggressive on the perimeter and playing in the passing lanes, a shot goes up. It's harder to box out because you're not in between your guy in the basket.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you're gambling into a passing lane, ball gets swung, shot goes up, you're off of your guy. He has a lane to crash the board, just like we talk about when you're aggressive. These guys have lanes to drive. When you're constantly scrambling to cover up for guys gambling and trying to force steals, and you know they're getting a lot in transition when they beat the press and able to get quick threes up, and you're not really matched up because they're playing fast because they beat your press. Like, a lot of the way they play contributes to a lack of defensive rebounding. They also have to just get better at grabbing the ball, so it's not just that. But I do think the style of play on defense is not helping the defensive rebounding either.
Which leads to ask the question, when are they going to alter it a little bit to help that?
This is the test for like every coach. When what you're doing is clearly struggling and clearly not working, are you too stubborn to change it? Or are you able to adapt and adjust? I think this is what separates mediocre coaches from good coaches from great coaches, etc. Okay? This is the first evaluation test for Tiago Splitter. Because, yes, he took over for Chauncey and is trying to run what Chauncey was putting in, but Chauncey was relying upon his assistant coaching staff to help him formulate things anyway. And Chauncey's not coming back. So Tiago is not answering to Chauncey. Tiago is the head coach. Okay? Nate Bjorkgren runs the defense. So it may be a Nate Bjorkgren call, right? But whoever it is needs to adjust. And we're still early in the season. Like, they have this data point 13 games in, playing the style of defense the way they do. Fall back to something a little bit more fundamentally sound, adjust, and see if it's better. See if it's better. And if it is better, if you do that the next 13 games and they're a much better defense, we'll be able to see. And the decision after that is going to be clear. All right, we're 26 games in the season. We're still, that's like a third of the way through the season, and now we know what defense we want to play the rest of the year. The worst thing they can do is sit here having their defense get torched night after night. Their adjusted defensive rating is plummeting, is 5 spots below where it was last year. The worst thing they can do is say, this is how we play. No matter what. We just need Matisse Thybulle and Blake Wesley. Blake Wesley isn't coming back till like February or late January, right? But we need Matisse Thybulle and Blake Wesley. Listen, if you're relying upon Matisse Thybulle and Blake Wesley to play anything but bad defense when you have a bunch of great defenders on the roster, that's how you know your plan and your identity is broken. So that's the test. They come home. They got 2 games at home. You got Phoenix. You got Chicago. Okay? Phoenix has been doing pretty well offensively. They just lost by 2 tonight, hosting Atlanta. Chicago just lost on the road in double overtime to Utah, 150-147. That's a crazy score. Both these teams are beatable. Both of these are winnable games. Hopefully Drew's back. But, you're just going to blitz them and let them throw it over the top of your blitz all game? Or are you just going to be sound? We'll see.
Yep, and whether Tiago gets this job permanently or not, that's still to be determined. But you're also coaching for, a chance to coach in another situation someday too. So
Yep.
I don't think you can just sit back and just be like, well, I'm going down with Chauncey's system, whether it works or not. At some point, you got to, you have to like claim ownership of it. And so, I mean, I'm still willing to give him a little bit of slack based on the situation and just, I mean, this would have been really tough for any coach to one game into the season have your coach get arrested and look like he's not coming back ever again in the NBA, and then have to take that on. So I understand being a little cautious and not to like mess with the team too much or get too down on anyone in particular, because it is a situation where you could easily lose a team or, you know, just go into like a depression mode where this team just gets in a funk and cannot get out of it. So I hope now that he's had a little bit of a stretch now, 12 games to coach, at some point he's got to put his impression on it. And if it works or doesn't work, it's got to be because he tried what he could or what he thought was best, not just trying to maintain status quo.
Yep. Agreed. And listen, we got a new owner coming in at the end of the year. He'll probably end up picking a new coach anyway.
Yeah.
Like, last year felt like a lame duck year for Chauncey. But, like, this year we had expectations. But if they don't reach those expectations, they still keep their pick on a loaded draft. They would have a new coach, new owner. Like, Dame's coming back, right? So it's not like I want to sit here with the attitude that, oh, you know, whatever happens this year happens. Like, they need to continue to build upon last year. I think at this point, I would honestly say they're failing to build upon last year. Because the offense isn't any better. The offense doesn't have any more of an identity than it did last year. The system is, you know, they don't run as much dribble handoff, I guess. There's 3-man weave, so that's cool. They adjusted to something that's just not working. And this roster is not built for it. I think that's one of the biggest issues. You know, when you have below 30% three-point shooters combining for 24 three-point attempts in a game, that math is never good. So I honestly do think they are failing at building upon like the foundation they laid last year defensively. The thing is, like, they didn't lay any foundation offensively. They still have not laid any foundation offensively. They have not figured out anything offensively. They want to sit there and say we're a fast-paced team. We're going to run, and then we have games like tonight where they have 7 fast break points in an overtime game where they score 133 points, but only 7 are on the break. That's awful. When you have all these athletes that like can't really shoot, well, they should be getting out and running and figuring out ways to score in transition. The only offensive identity they have is we're going to play fast, and they can't even succeed with that. So I think the offensive identity right now, you know, we'll see what a new coach maybe would bring next season with Dame and whoever else is on that team, but like it feels like it's trending in the direction of like, all right, our offense next year is just going to be like Dame, Deni, and Sharpe.
Yeah.
Score the ball. Make something happen. And it's kind of crazy because, like, that feels similar to what we had when we started the channel, where it was like, Dame and CJ, go make something happen. Now, Dame, Deni, and Sharpe, I guess they have a little bit more in that regard and better defense, so I guess that's a plus. But those teams could shoot. So, I don't know.
Yep. I know it's once again, are we in the Dame save us era?
We're right back to it. That's the thing though, is like the Dame save us era works if we have an elite defense, and now we have all these really good defenders where it's like, man, if Dame can bounce back, you look at Steph at age 37 playing like prime Steph still, you know, with his ability to shoot, like, man, maybe Dame could bounce back. I know he's coming off an Achilles tear, but like his shooting ability, and you know, he's a smart player, like maybe he can still be close to what he was before, and we can run the Dame save us offense. with an elite defense, and maybe that's good enough, and then you go get another star, and that guy can help the offense, and maybe that's the equation. It's just the problem is the defense is bad right now, so it's kind of similar to what we had with the Dame Save Us offense, except worse shooting. The defense has to be good. But it is kind of funny to be sitting here talking about, like, man, are we getting back to that? Is that the path we're on? We kind of tried to deviate, and now we're going back to it. I mean, this year, a lot of the offense has been Deni, please save us. Honestly. A lot of the offense has been Deni, save us. Deni makes something happen. Like, he's the best at pushing in transition, too. Like, Deni gives without Deni, this team offensively has no hope and like no identity and is maybe the bottom 3, bottom 2 offense in the league. Well, I mean, what are they even ranked? I didn't even look at their adjusted offensive rating. I mean, they're ranked 15th in adjusted offensive rating somehow. Without Deni, that's probably 25th. So I guess you could say they've improved there. But Eric, I just go look at their shooting percentages.
Mm-hmm.
They're 17th at the rim. They are 30th. They are the worst mid-range shooting team, and they are 26th from 3. So they are below average, including bottom 5 at 2 of the 3 levels. And they're below average at all 3 levels.
Not good, Tori.
Nope. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. Assist percentage. We can never get out of the bottom 5 in assist percentage,
Dame's fault.
Dame's fault we don't play like a team, guys. Dame's fault we don't pass. That's why we're at the bottom of the league in terms of assist percentage. Well, after Dame left in 2024, we were 30th in assist percentage. This isn't this isn't based on making or missing shots. These are the percentages of shots that are made. What percentage of them had an assist to go with them? Okay, we were 30th the first year without Dame, dead last. Last season, we were 28th, and this season we are currently 26th.
But not having Dame was going to free up the roster to play a different way that they couldn't do with Dame hogging the ball all the time. Remember when they tried to pawn that crap on us?
Yep. The last year with Dame, we were 18th. Although he was partly injured. The year before that, we were 21st. The year before that, we were 30th in 2021. 2020, we were also 30th. 2021, that was Stotts' last year, right?
Yeah, I got fired in summer 21. Yep.
Yeah, so the last 2 seasons under Stotts, we were the worst assist percentage team in the league. Okay. We bring in Chauncey, still have Dame. It gets a little bit better. And then we get rid of Dame, and he goes right back to the bottom of the league. Like, can we ever be a team that moves the ball, that passes the ball, that shares the ball, that knows how to? I think the biggest reason why we're 26th right now is literally because the offense is designed where everything has to be initiated by a drive, but we don't have guys that, we only have a couple of guys that can consistently beat their initial defender. We don't have a lot of shooting on the perimeter. So it results in a couple of guys like Sharpe and Deni just trying to create everything just to spark the offense and taking a bunch of shots. The lack of off-ball movement, off-ball screening, I think, is the biggest reason why back in the day, I mean, honestly, our entire time covering this team, it's always been bad. It's always been bad no matter who the coach is. Mm-hmm. And it's a big reason why they're bottom of the league in assist percentage, because when you don't have off-ball action, you don't have action that creates advantages for guys where somebody can hit them on a pass or make a read or hit a backdoor cutter, somebody slipping a screen, etc. You don't have that action. It ends up in a lot of one-on-one, and that's what we've seen so far this season. So at what point will this freaking organization figure this out? Because there's 3 coaches now, and it's still an issue.
You know what sucks about that too? It's that when they do cut, it almost always works. You had that Robert Williams dunk tonight, the Shea dunk last game. Tamani had a couple baskets off cuts when Deni got cut off on the baseline. Like, so it actually works when they cut. It's like, why don't you do it more then, please?
Yeah. I think, here's what I'll say though. Their whole motion offense of like dribble drive, and then based on where the drive goes, certain guys move and cut. Those are good principles, okay? But those should be details of the offense you're running, not the foundation of the offense you're running, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, that should be, if you're not in a set and you're in a freelance situation and somebody's creating, and it just so happens that they drive this way, this is the way that you move. That should be part of when you're not in a set play, this is how things work. But that should go along with, all right, if you're on the weak side and the ball's here, this is the screen you're looking for. You know, if the ball gets entered into the post, if Drew Holiday's in the post, and you got Deni and Sharpe or Tamani and Sharpe above them, run some freaking split action. And maybe you can get Sharpe going either to the corner for a shot. Maybe it ends up being an open corner three. Or, you know, slipping back door off the screen, right? Like, Drew can pass. Even if it's Deni in the post, Deni can post up. I would like to post up Deni more and then run some action to give him the space needed to operate in the post because we don't have much shooting. But when you're screening guys, defenders are worried about that, not necessarily doubling the post. And if they do double the post, that's when you have these guys screening off each other and moving. Defender turns their head to go double Deni, and then that's when somebody's open on a cut. Like, there needs to be more substance there where the cutting patterns, when they drive, is just an aspect of their offense and not like, the only way we'll do anything is if the ball gets driven and then we're going to cut this way. We're going to move this way.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Mox had a 50 Philippine peso donation. I miss Dame, but don't do Dame S shots. Denny laughing my ass off. Yeah, that was terrible. Especially as I felt like Denny could have gotten into the paint and drawn a foul or done something different. He could have waited till 3 or 4 seconds and made his move. I felt like he just bailed out the defense there. And then Josh Sargent had a $5 donation. He says, if Blazers pull a Mavs and get the number 1 pick, are you taking Peterson, Boozer, or AJ Dibons?
Thank you for the donation. That's a great question.
So before I answer this, I'm going to say there is not a wrong answer, I don't think, as of right now. I feel like you can make a very good case for either one of the three. So I don't think like anyone right now has the clear-cut decisive answer. Yeah. I still have Dibonsa 1. Peterson is a very close 2. Boozer is 3rd, but he's so good. Like it seems like a knock. And
they're all in the same tier.
Yeah. I saw some stupid Kevin O'Connor thing where he said some league executive said if Cooper Flagg was in this draft, he'd go somewhere between 4 and 6. No. And I was like, dude, okay, he might go 4th.
Might go 4.
But that's not a knock. Like that's how
he's not going. He's not going below 4 though.
He's not going below 4th. Yeah, like
who would go above him? Mikael Brown Jr. is a good prospect, but he's not.
There's a ton of good players, yes, but they're not going above Flagg. Like people forget just how good of a season he had as a freshman last year too. And what all these freshmen are doing this year so far is like crazy, considering Flagg was like one of the first freshmen to actually live up to some of the hype in his freshman year. So yeah, it's still, and he's not even 19 yet. Like he doesn't turn 19 until December.
He looked really good today, man. 21 points, 8 boards, 5 assists, no turnovers against the team that's supposed to turn everybody over.
Maybe not in the first half. He only had 2 points, but he really took over in that third quarter and then made some big shots.
Yep.
Down the stretch. But Yeah.
I had somebody who told me like on a Cooper Flag short last year that we don't need Cooper Flag or something like that. And then he recently went back and said, "See, I told you so." Like 2 days ago on the short. And I was just like, what do you mean I told you so? Like, that makes no sense. Huh? So, of course, Cooper Flag's going to torch us in the second half. And now I get to sit here and say, see, I told you so. That would have been nice to have on our side instead of their side. Comments crack me up. But, yeah. So, do we
but there's no way Flag's going below 4. Like, at the absolute worst. He's probably still going 1 or 2, but yeah.
I said we'd do a Tankathon sim if we lost this game. And we lost this game.
Yeah, we lost.
So it's our first Tankathon. Let me see if I still have it set up. I think I might need to set up your camera and the window capture, so just bear with me for a second. Yeah, need to set up Eric's camera. All right, here we go. You guys are going to see this live.
While you're doing that, Peterson, obviously, if we're just talking like pure scorer shooter, he's probably the best of the bunch. I'm just a little more drawn to guys with size who can pass and dribble and do multiple things. So yeah, I don't know if Dybonsa really fits as well as Peterson or Boozer would, but yeah, I do feel like I don't know. I feel like I would take Dybonsa number 1 on most teams, but I could see the argument for taking Peterson for us.
Peterson is number 1 on my board.
Yeah.
I think for us, it's like, oh, we already have so many guards. That's why you'd go Dybonsa. But, I mean, can we afford to pass up a guy that could, like, be MVP caliber creator? Like, I think if I had to bet on somebody becoming a top 5 player in the league, I'd bet on Peterson just because he has the size for a guard. He's 6'6", but the scoring ability at all 3 levels and the playmaking and just the feel, all that. Where Dybonsa is a really gifted scorer for his size, but I think is further away from like running an offense. Where if he could run an offense that size, would be great. But I like Tatum before he even went to college because I liked some of the passing reads that he made, and I thought he'd be able to like run an offense with his scoring ability, and that, if anything, has been proven right. But I think Dybonsa could get there. I just see it more with Peterson, so that's why I like Peterson more. And Cam Boozer's like insane too. So yeah, it's tough choice. I need to see more from all of them. Real quick before we do the sim, while I'm on this, look at my guy Thomas Houck, man. Look at my guy Thomas Houck, and then did you see my guy Avdalis? Did we talk about him? His game against Providence?
Yeah, we talked about it. Yep.
Yeah. 14-7. He's going to be really good. Like, I wish he was in the draft last year. And like Portland took a stab on him with the second because he was somebody that I liked before he was even near draft boards. Like he was a projected undrafted international guy last year. Decided to go to college and now he's projected first round pick. But he's like 6'9", plays like a guard, passes, shoots, like has great feel offensively, crafty, creative, 3-level score. He's gonna be a good NBA player. I am fully confident in that. And at this point, after seeing Cedric Coward, like I am trusting my scouting even more. Because I felt like I did a pretty good job last year. So like he's the truth. Like I think he'll be a lottery pick or at least a lottery talent. And then Thomas Houck was another guy I liked before he was even on draft boards, and now he's here in the first round. So we always talk about guys we like before they become popular, and then they get popular, and those are the 2 guys for me. Bennett Sturts is the guy for you, Eric.
Yeah.
So
and Yoxel.
Yeah, and Yoxel. You've always liked Yoxel. And it's still super early, so we'll see some guys start to jump here. There's a lot of guys that we know because a lot of guys didn't enter the draft. Isaiah Evans, Sergio De La Rey, Tahad Pettiford, Phylon. So I already feel like we got a good little head start here. But I will say, if there's one guy I'm worried of with bust potential in this top 10 already, it's Koa Pete. But it's mainly just because he's 6'8" and doesn't shoot. So it's translation stuff. So it's still super early, but like that's a guy maybe I have a couple questions about, but he's still freaking talented. So
yeah, awesome game against Florida to start the year.
I know. But it's just like how much that is, dominating with size of the college level that he can't get away with at the NBA, and then if he struggles to shoot, sort of thing.
I don't know. Have you seen Florida's front line?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they have Condon and
They have Condon and Hawk or Hout and
yeah, but none of those guys are like bigs to me. And I guess he's a 4, but like a 4 that needs to play next to a stretch. I don't know. A stretch big. I don't know. This freshman class has been so amazing. Like, it's going to be trying to like nitpick things that maybe give some of these guys more bust potential, because like I think a lot of these guys have star potential. I need to see more Caleb Wilson.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Caleb. Like he was one of those guys who a lot of people were saying he's more of a secondary player, but he has like this chip on his shoulder from being, I guess they like didn't pass to him much in the McDonald's All-America game, and now he's taking his revenge out on them, and he looked like a true number 1 scorer in a few games so far.
Does he have creation potential though? Is my question.
He does, yeah.
Creation potential.
Like he was
I've
shooting.
only seen highlights from one game, so
yeah, he was shooting like pull-ups up in like the mid-range and stuff, and
what's like
he's
got
like a good
comp
size
for
too.
him? Just like early comp, if you had to come up with one.
Well, I mean, like, I need to see a little bit more of him handling the ball to make a really good comp, but yeah, I mean his shooting. I know AJ Damonsa gets the T-Mac comparisons, but I think Caleb Wilson looked a lot more like T-Mac in some of those moments than he did.
Yusefu, I feel like will fall potentially a little bit just if he can't shoot the ball at 6'5", but he's a fun player. This draft is so much fun. So if we suck this season, I will say this though, Eric, my faith in the scouting department is shaky. Like in their ability to draft, it's shaky. And everybody loves the scouting department because they know who Mike Schmitz is, but it's just like, what's the track record so far? Chris Murray at 23, like that's not a particularly good pick, but like, okay, it was at 23. But they said they had a lottery grade on Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert. And if that's true, that is very, very worrisome. Okay. And then they pass on Cedric Howard, who was perfect for everything they need to take Young Hansen at 16 because they were hyper fixated on him. And I hated it at the time, and I hate it even more now because Coward would be perfect for everything the Blazers need. I think they would have a couple more wins on their record right now if they had Cedric Coward and Young Hansen's playing in the G League, which is a good thing. He needs to play in the G League, and he's more of a long-term project, so it's probably not even fair to compare him, but I just thought that was an insane decision and still feel that way. But with so many talents in this draft, it's like, how easy is it to just like fall into the right guy? I don't know. But I don't have a ton of faith because I don't think their track record has been particularly impressive. I mean, they took Ryan Rupert over Tamani Kamara without ever knowing if Tamani Kamara was going to be available. They get credit for trading for him, absolutely, but for the drafting process, they took Ryan Rupert over Tamani Kamara. So it's shaky at best, in my opinion. Anyway, you ready for the first Tankathon sim?
Let's do it. So we have 11th best odds?
Yep. Just like we did last year, right? Or we had 10th best last year.
I think we got up to 10th.
And then we fell. 11th won it last year. Yeah, because that was Dallas.
Or was it 12? Was Dallas 12?
No, Dallas was 11. This is gross.
Yeah.
Or at least I think Dallas was 11. This is gross because they get this pick no matter what. The Clippers better start winning games. All right, let's simulate this thing. Scroll up from the bottom. First Tankathon sim of the year. Can we get lucky? Boston, Memphis.
For the record, before we go up, so the Atlanta pick versus via New Orleans and the Indiana pick that they now own their own pick from were both owned by one Joe Dumars and the New Orleans Pelicans just a few months ago before the draft. And they traded both of them back to the, or one of them they traded back to the Pacers. It's their original pick, and the other one they traded to Atlanta.
And we potentially turned down this pick that Atlanta has from New Orleans / Milwaukee so that we could take Young. Because Joe Dumars said he started at pick 9 offering the best of Milwaukee / New Orleans and worked all the way down to 13. And we were at 11. So we might have said no to that pick. And if we did, that is the most inexcusable blunder possible. Okay? Like, it's beyond inexcusable. Like, if I was an owner and I found that out, I'd want to fire the guy because that's insane to pass up that asset. We'll see how high it is in this Tankathon sim because New Orleans sucks. And Atlanta gets their pick unprotected. And maybe we could have had it instead of Young Johnson. You know? 12, Chicago. 11, your Portland Trailblazers. 10, OKC via Utah. 9 is OKC via Clippers. At least they only have 9 and 10 before us, so they get to draft the stars, and then we get whoever. 8 is Charlotte. 7, Memphis. 6, Sacramento. 5, Brooklyn. So that pick to Atlanta is top 4. At 4 is Indiana. At 3 is Atlanta via New Orleans. At 2 is Dallas. And at 1 is Washington.
Washington. That's interesting.
Boozer next to Sar is really fun.
Yeah.
But also Peterson makes insane amount of sense for them. Like DeBonsa doesn't. DeBonsa would be 3 on my board for them. Yeah, but you don't say no to Peterson because you have Trey Johnson. You know, Peterson's a better player, and they could probably play together. In the back.
Hey, congrats to Dallas too in the second pick.
Yeah, I would go Peterson for Washington. Yeah. And then Dallas. I like Boozer with Flag to replace AD.
Yeah. I would take Boozer Peterson if I was Dallas too.
And then Atlanta via New Orleans gets DeBonsa, and just add DeBonsa to that. I think Atlanta would be interesting in the AD sweepstakes as well. We haven't really talked about that yet, but like they have a lot of picks. Like not trading this pick. Imagine if what they have, you can add AD and like the top 3 pick going into next year.
Yep.
And have like Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Reese Shea.
Well, with how they're playing without Trae Young, they might trade him.
I know. A Kongwu, right? Yeah, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, like DeBonsa, Anthony Davis, a Kongwu, Dyson Daniels, Reese Shea. That's insane. Somehow they were like in a not so great of a spot. And then just like that, they are honestly positioned like a team that could make a finals from the East in the next 3 to 4 years with like a young roster. I don't really know how it happened, but like I don't know. A big thing is that trade that they made to get that pick from New Orleans, which is insane. Anyway, final conversation I want to have for this. Or is there anybody else you want to talk about that played today?
No.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it either. Anyway, do you think, since I brought up AD, do you think Portland should be interested in trading for Anthony Davis if he becomes available, assuming that his price tag is going to be a little lower than his production because of his injury?
I would definitely kick the tires on it just because I think any situation where you can add a talented player, even an injury-prone one, if you can add him without giving up too much of anything valuable moving forward or your core or whatever. And Portland's in a situation where if Dame comes back next year, and
Dame with the team that swept him.
well, what I was, well, that's where Drew comes into play, like, because we have to match his salary. So,
Well, I assume it'd probably be Grant, right? You're getting a front court player.
yeah,
You can
true.
switch
If you're
between
getting a forward, yeah, but it'd probably have to be a third team involved because Dallas would want them. But I definitely think AD is the type. If you could get him without giving up a ton, then you put yourself in a situation to where you still have some assets moving forward to make another splash down the road. And it's you definitely shorten your window a little bit, but you do give yourself a couple year window where if you put some players on bubble wrap until closer to the postseason, I do think once the playoffs hit, if you're somewhat healthy, you could have an actual contending team.
Yeah. I think I'm interested by the possibility that the player package would be like Grant, Rob, Will, Thibault with like 3 picks that aren't the Bucks picks. And with like 3 firsts, get it done if it's like the Orlando first, if it's, the worst 2029 first, and then a future Portland first. And you can keep the upside of the Bucks picks and get the upside of AD, where, yeah, it's a risk if he stays healthy, but that's the only reason why you could potentially maybe get him for that package. And then if he is healthy in the playoffs, you could potentially go on a run. And when he's not healthy during the season, you still have enough talent that you could weather the storm. Right? Like that I think is very intriguing. And that I would kick the tires on that sort of deal. But I wouldn't want to trade Scoot or Sharp. Like maybe you could talk me into trading Clingan in that package. But I kind of like the idea of having AD start at the 5 and then he can play some 4 next to Clingan because he likes to play the 4 more than the 5. I think any trade for like a legitimate star in the front court the Blazers have to think about, because next season you'd have a big 3 of AD, Dame, and Deni. And yeah, you have questions about Dame returning from injury and like AD with his injury history, but if that goes well, you have a legitimate big 3. You legitimately have 3 stars. When was the last time Portland's had 3 legitimate stars? And then if Scoot or Sharpe ever takes a legitimate step, Scoot might be hard with all the guards there, right? And then you have these great defenders in Drew, Tamani. Like, that's the recipe. That's the recipe. I don't really know what AD's trade value is, so maybe it's a little higher than that. Yeah. But from all the trade ideas I've seen, it's like stuff like that package I proposed.
You have to wonder if the Mavericks opportunity, like just what they gave up for him, will factor in.
Yeah, but I mean, they've already admitted that's a mistake and fired the guy. So,
but I could also see them being like, "Oh, we might as well just keep him if that's all we get."
Well, they got Cooper Flag for Luka because they made a deal with the double, aka Adam Silver.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they realized they screwed up, so and they've admitted they've screwed up, and it's not like they can win over the fan base outside of firing Nico, which they did. So, your PR is already dead anyway. So, yeah. Yeah, we'll give him Young for the market, yeah. But I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Any player that has the upside of being a borderline top 10 player in the league in the front court, but like has injury issues, I think the injury like question marks and his ability to stay healthy actually works out in Portland's favor there, because you get the upside if he is healthy, but then you get a little lower price tag where you still can maybe keep the upside of the Bucks picks. So you just add upside, right? You raise your ceiling, and yeah, it'd be nice if AD was healthy all the time, but then he would cost more on the trade market.
You're not getting him in a trade.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're trading those Bucks picks. Whereas with his injury issues, maybe you don't have to. So that's the way I'm looking at it. Like if you gave up Scoot in that situation because you have Dame and Sharpe and Drew, you have these guards already. I get it. Honestly, I would kind of like the idea of trying to flip Drew for value to a third team and using some of that value to send to Dallas. I think that actually works out pretty well, but I also think it would be cool to have like Dame, Drew, and AD together, with Deni.
Yeah.
Probably bring Kamara off the bench if he keeps playing like this.
For sure.
Like the bench would be pretty good. You'd have Sharpe, Tamani, Scoot, Clingan off the bench. Yeah. So that type of guy. I don't want Sabonis. He doesn't help our shooting. He doesn't help our defense. I think it's tough to trade for a guy that's probably best at the center with his skill set that isn't a particularly good shooter. I know he shot the 3-ball decently last year, but he's not a good defender. I mean, just imagine all these line drives that we are giving up, these drives to the rim, with Sabonis defending the rim instead of Clingan. I don't like to think about that.
Yeah, I don't think he fits very well.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's shooting 21% from 3 this year. I would not kick the tires on Sabonis. Now, if he gets traded to a team that has to give up a salary for him, that maybe gets swung to a third team, that's interesting. I will say, Eric, there was a trade rumor, and this might sound a little crazy, and staying under the tax would be really difficult. You'd have to offload Duop and Chris Murray for no salary in return, whether it's in this deal or to other teams. But given the offensive style we want to play, I would kick the tires a little bit on Kristaps Porzingis if he became available, because he'd be very, very cheap. Like thinking Rob Will and Thibault, and then maybe it's the worst 2029 first. Even that feels maybe like it's a little bit rich, but that's the worst first out of 3 teams. And you give Clingan a little bit more runway. Just think about the way we're having Clingan shoot all these threes. If it was actually a legitimate 3-point shooter to open up the floor, and then he's not the most mobile big, but we're playing drop primarily anyway. So you have Porzingis and drop, he's fine there. Drew has experience with him. He's still a very good player. He can pass a little bit. The drive and kick stuff, he kind of fits that as a 7-2 center. So you basically have to trade Rob Will, Thibault, Chris Murray, and Duop, or Chris Murray and Repair to stay under the tax and then sign prorated deals to replace those roster spots, 2 prorated deals, but I think that would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder if Atlanta ends up moving him if they're still doing well.
Yeah, well, Kongwu's playing really well, so I saw a rumor like that, just, salary and, if they're trying to get a different piece, multi-team trade, probably gets complicated. But, if Porzingis is somebody that becomes available in that manner, that's just given the style of offense we run. I think it would be much better with Porzingis, and you can still play Clingan 22 minutes off the bench and bring him along as a shooter if that's really what you want him to be. So, but yeah. Anyway, those are our trade thoughts. I know it's not 20 games into the season like we normally do, but it's fun to think about the trade deadline this year and next offseason because we're finally in buy mode, it seems like. I know we bought for Deni, and that was a great trade. I mean, look how well that trade's gone. But it's fun to be oh, maybe it makes sense to go for a star, because for the past 3 years or since we traded Dame, it's no, don't trade for this star, don't trade for that star. And even with Dame, it was those teams you couldn't trade for a star that was bad defensively because of how bad the defense already was. So there's only certain types of players that really fit. Now it just feels like any star that becomes available that's not a guard makes sense. And even if a star becomes available that is a shooting guard, you can still look at that. So the gates are open there for Portland if somebody like AD becomes available. If, I don't know, Jaren Jackson Jr. becomes available. You want to run a 5-out offense that defends, even though his defense has been slipping and his attitude's kind of iffy? Like, you're probably not going to get a guy without some red flags. It's just, that's why they're available, and then you can get them a little cheaper, and if you can figure it out. But you wouldn't like Jaren Jackson Jr.? He doesn't help with the
Jaren Jackson, yeah.
He doesn't help with the rebounding.
I feel like it's like a Hassan Whiteside situation that doesn't rebound.
Yeah, but at least he shoots threes. And is like a good defender, even though he's regressing there. Like 3-and-D big. That can put the ball on the floor a little bit.
He chases blocks. That's why I had the Whiteside compare.
But I mean, all our defense is chasing everything. So he fits in perfectly. We chase the ball anyway.
Very true.
Yeah, I would rather just like go all the way for AD before going for Jaren Jackson Jr. because I think their price tag would be similar. Jaren Jackson Jr. might cost more since he's only 26. Like, I don't know. But his play this year, he's not playing particularly well. So, anyway, I'm looking forward to trade talk, man. Losing games like this just, like, we're still close enough where, all right, maybe we can trade for impactful players that help us make the play-in down the stretch. But, man, with the way things are going right now and the schedule coming up, I'm worried that Portland might fall out of the play-in picture. I truly am. They are right now, they are 11th in the West. They're only one game ahead of freaking Utah, man. And we were talking about how well we started. Okay, we're one game ahead of Utah. One freaking game ahead of Utah. And we almost choked against them and lost. So you just look at the I'll just pull up Tankathon again. You just look at the stretch, Eric. 2-5, you barely beat OKC. Great win, yeah, but like you were down 22 and then made a bunch of threes. So if you don't get hot from three, that's a loss. And then we almost choked a 15-point lead to New Orleans. Win against Denver was like their last really, really great win. Maybe I shouldn't diminish OKC that much. But before then, depleted Lakers team, the freaking Utah Jazz that you barely beat. I'm just not impressed. I'm just not impressed at all with their season so far.
I've just been really disappointed with the defense.
138, 140, 117, 115, 136, 119, 123. Can we hold a team under 115 points? This is what we used to say when we had Dame and CJ and Norman Powell.
Yeah. Yep.
The thing is, though, we have been competitive at home. We have been good at home, but this was a failure of a road trip. 1-4 is a failure of a road trip. As said, after last game, you need to win 2 of your next 3. Dallas, Phoenix, Chicago. Well, now you got to win 2 out of your next 2 to meet that because the schedule after this. At Golden State, at OKC, at Milwaukee, versus San Antonio, versus OKC, at Toronto, at Cleveland, at Detroit. All above 500 teams, even Toronto. Only 2 of those games are at home. 6 are on the road. And just look at this freaking road trip. We lost at Orlando. We lost at Miami. We lost at Dallas. And we lost by 24 at Houston. It doesn't really feel like our defense travels at all. I'm not too optimistic. I predicted 10-13 after this stretch. I'm revising that with the loss today to 9-14. Honestly, 8-15. I would not be surprised if they went 2-8 over this 10-game stretch. But they'll probably win 3 games. They'll probably be 9-14.
And yet we're supposed to, I guess, just sit here and be super positive and not say anything negative, right? We'll get those comments.
Did somebody say that before the stream? Is that why we started the stream that way?
No, I read the comments from last stream, and it's like, once again, all I hear is talking about how bad we played all for the first half of the show. It's like,
yeah, we played bad.
We lost by 24, and we're 1-3 on this road trip, and now we're 1-4.
We talk about the game that happened.
Who like don't expect people, especially you and I, who are like diehard fans, like to not be frustrated or upset when we're losing games or whatever.
It's okay to call it the way it is. It's just like people are like, Houston's a good team. They're better than us. It's like, okay, we're 7.5-point underdogs. We lost by 24. You think we're so bad that they're 24 points better than us? That's the thing. It's like you're trying to tell us we're being too negative, but then you think it's perfectly acceptable to lose by 24 to Houston. Like, you must think we suck if you think that's acceptable. Like, that's the thing. Is part of a lot of the criticism comes from having a standard for this team. If you have no standard for this team and you just make excuses like, oh, they just need Blake Wesley, that's why they're playing so bad. It's not a bad thing. They just, what can they do? They don't have Blake Wesley, and Houston's just a better team. That's why they lost by 24. Like, that to me is more negative because you must think this team really, really sucks if you're that reliant upon Blake Wesley, and if it's okay that you gave up 140 points in regulation when you were the 13th best defense last year and had hopes of being top 10 on the defensive side of the ball this year. Like, that's more negative than I think anything that we say. All of the criticism comes from this team should be playing better, and this team is doing things that is hurting it, that we want to improve, that is not improving, is going in the wrong way, and we think this team is capable of more. And I think this team is capable of fixing a lot of these issues. So we're going to criticize what they're failing to do correctly right now. But it comes from having belief in this team as constructed. Yes, they don't have good shooting, but they have pieces. So, I don't know. I guess for the people that think we're too negative, we got too much belief in what this team is capable of, and we think they're underachieving, and I guess that's somehow a bad thing.
It also comes from we don't think they should be losing to the 3-10 Mavericks. Like, but
we were favored in this game, man.
But it's also like we talk about like trends and what we're seeing and why they're not playing well, even if they win a game or whatever, and it comes back to haunt them the next game, and everyone's like, well, they're still 500. Who cares? Like, you would have taken 500, but yeah, they should be playing better than they are, though.
Out of the last 7 games, 6 of them, they have not covered the spread. They have lost against the spread. So if you just look at Vegas in spread lines, the Blazers are underachieving. So there's just so many different things that you can point to. Like, this is they're playing far worse than they should. Now they have a nationally televised game against Phoenix. Hopefully Drew Holiday can play. We need him to play. If you want to get in on the action for that game, you can place a sleeper parlay, have some fun that way. I think, especially if Drew doesn't play, doing a parlay with over points on Sharpe and Avdija is maybe an automatic. Well, nothing's automatic, but, there's a pretty good chance of that winning, and you getting good odds on that, because without Drew, Shaden Sharpe's taking 32 shots, and Deni Avdija is a walking 25 to 30-point game in his sleep right now. So you might as well go over to Sleeper, use the code Uprise, and you'll get a free $20 entry, no deposit required. So you can literally just take a free $20 entry, put together a parlay with Deni over points, Shaden over points, and then you have to pick something from another team. Just pick whatever you feel good about, and you can 5 or 6x your money, your $20. That's $100 to $120 potentially. No deposit required. So you don't have to put any money down. So you might, it's a great deal. Absolutely great deal. And you get a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you do want to deposit any money, you get double that, up to $100 essentially. So use the code Uprise, helps out the channel. Shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring the postgame show. Donnie Tino says, we don't do a lot of on-ball screening. It's just dudes barreling at the basket, rec league ass offense. Dude, I set more screens in my rec league than I see this team set, I swear. Oh, there goes Story talking about his rec league again. You can find 5 random dudes that know a little bit about basketball and they can figure out how to set off-ball screens and move. It's not a novel concept. It's really not. So, but apparently that's just not the design.
If you watch the Blazer broadcast, Lamar was talking all game about how if they ran a backdoor lob for Shea, it would probably be there at least one time. We don't even try to run it. And that's also making it so teams don't have to, like, guard for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, back in the day, I used to, like, bring up, like, my playing experience, mostly just to explain why I felt a certain way about what the team is doing. And it's not, like, to equate me playing in high school to the NBA, because obviously, they're not really comparable. But I just think in terms of, like, stuff that's ran, this team is fully capable of implementing a couple backdoor screen sets for Sharpe. Fully capable. I mean, so when they don't run anything, it drives me crazy. And part of the reason why it drives me crazy, this is where I draw on just my experience, we had like 3 to 4 different backdoor lob sets for our center in high school. 3 to 4 different designs that looked like other sets. So we would lead the defense into like trying to defend a certain way based on sets that we run earlier in a game and get them to overplay to try and deny what they think is a set we ran earlier. And then we take advantage for that and it'd be a counter and we connect on it almost all the time, right? And it's just like basic stuff. Like it's insane to me how you have maybe the most athletic leaper. I think Amen Thompson's the best athlete in the league, but I think that's because of like his burst and functional athleticism. I think just pure leaping ability, Shaden Sharpe might be the most explosive leaper in the league. And you don't have any designed action to try and get him on a backdoor lob is insane to me. It's actually insane. It's so stupid. It pisses me off. But that's the thing, is like people want positivity and dude, I think it's insane, man. I truly do think it's insane not to have a single action to catch Shaden Sharpe on a backdoor lob. Like, why aren't you using this guy's athleticism? Shoot, it might get him going where maybe he'll go better than 12 for 32. You know what I mean? But like, we talk about him off curls. We rarely see those. We talk about him on backdoor lobs. We never see design backdoor lobs for Shea, even though he's such an explosive leaper. And it goes back to, for whatever reason, this team, this organization, hates off-ball screens. Hates them. And it's freaking ludicrous. It's ludicrous to me.
Yep.
It drives me insane, dude.
Our most athletic guy, we don't want him. I thought the whole point was to try and get easy shots at the rim, but apparently that's only when you can drive into 3 guys and try to force a tough shot.
Like, here's the thing too, man. Maybe they double him off the backdoor lob and the screener's open. You know? Like, the screener can slip to the middle of the key. Or, like, whatever. Shoot, have Deni throw the lob and have Drew set the backdoor screen so it's 2 smalls. And then Drew can slip to the middle of the paint where he's really good. So if they both go with Sharpe, Drew gets some space to operate at the free throw line. Maybe it's a little free throw line jumper or whatever. Maybe when he gets the ball, a third defender collapses, and then it's a kick out to Monty for 3. Or, you know, like, there's just no foundation, and it's crazy because they have offensive talent. Deni's a great offensive talent right now. Sharpe is capable, and I think if Sharpe was used more off the ball, it'd be great. And use his athleticism a little bit more instead of just one-on-one all the time. Drew is still a really good offensive player, makes good reads. Clingan's a 7'2" big. He's finishing better this year. He's being a bit better around the rim, in my opinion. Tamani's your 5th guy, but then you got Grant subbing in off the bench, who's offensively capable and athletic and can shoot the 3 and drive. Like, you got offensive talent on this team, and yeah, you need more shooting to, I think, balance everything out. But it's like just insane to me that, you know, some of their offense is just missing. It's just missing stuff. It's just so primitive and limited, in my opinion.
Yep. I do have a quote from Deni via Sean Hyken on the shot at the end of the fourth quarter, if you want to hear it.
Yes, read it.
He said, I take responsibility about that last shot. I could have done better. It's on me. I wasted the clock too much and went for that three. I should have either drove a little bit or gotten closer, but I'm learning from it. I should have been smarter. So,
was that a Deni quote or was that a Tory quote?
That was a Deni quote.
I feel like that's exactly what I said, yeah.
Yeah, took responsibility. So, yeah.
Props to him. But yeah, like it seemed like he waited too long to go and then didn't really have options, so shot a sidestep three. Mm-hmm. And it's good to have him in this situation to learn from it, and that's exactly what he said. So, yep.
Yeah, don't do that shit again.
Yeah, I mean, he owned it, though. But, I mean, that's the thing is, what do you do? The only way you can turn that into something productive is if you learn from it. So that's where he's at now, you know? We lost the game. That's rough. It would have been awesome to see him hit a buzzer beater. This post-game stream would have been a lot different. Still would have been mad about some of the things in this game, but I just, to put a bow on this show, man, we're in a weird spot compared to the past couple of years where our record's a little bit better, we're a little bit more competitive, but we're also not as competitive as we should be because there's talent blossoming on this roster. We sit here criticizing the way they're playing, but don't know how much criticism to lie at the feet of the coach, given that it's not Chauncey Billups and Thiago was thrust into this position. And there is a decent amount of injuries. So it's a weird position to be in. But I think beyond all the noise and all that, they have to find an identity offensively. Their identity of we're just going to play fast isn't working. And they don't have no identity outside of that. Okay. They have to improve their system and alter their system. And then defensively, they're underachieving because they're playing so aggressive, and they need to see what it looks like when they just play more fundamentally sound defense and aren't so aggressive and see if that's better. That's where they're at right now. They're going to get reinforcements, Scoot, hopefully before the end of the month. Sometime around Thanksgiving is the goal right now. Deni continues to play great. Sharpe's playing better after his early season struggles, so there is some things going right for this team, and things will get better in terms of the personnel on the floor. And I'm super excited to have Scoot back, man. I love watching him play. You guys know that. But the next 10 games are insanely difficult, and the Blazers have to find a way to weather the storm, and they did not weather the storm on this road trip. So you got 2 games at home, 2 very important games. If you can be 8-7 going out on that trip for a tough, 6 games ahead of that, or a tough 8 games or whatever it was. If you can be 8-7 after 2 home wins, you feel a lot better. If you drop both these games, like this season is set to spiral. Right? So these 2 home games on Tuesday and Wednesday are insanely important. I know they're only against the Suns and the Bulls, but that's also why it's insanely important to win them, because these are the 2 most winnable games for a while. And They need to get right. They need to feel good about something, because it's not the buzzer beater from Desmond Bane, the 24-point loss against Houston, losing this game in OT the way they did. It's rough. It's rough right now. So 2 important games, reinforcements coming. Important that they come home and take care of business on this little 2-game homestand. Eric, anything else you want to touch upon?
No, thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Hope to see you on those back-to-back streams Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yep. And then hopefully when they go out on the road, they're feeling good, because I will be out on the road with them in San Francisco on Friday. So, that's a cup game. Hopefully that will go a lot better than the last cup game. But I need to find a way to sit close behind the Blazers bench so that I can just scream that we should run a backdoor lob for Sharpe. Because maybe it just the idea hasn't occurred to them.
Maybe.
I'm joking, but yeah.
Hey, Tori, say our record without anything in between.
No. Nope.
Darn it.
Nice try. I hate that. It's so cringe to me. I will not give in. Anyway, that's it. Mike Malone, Billboard, off 5-5. He runs good action, but he also has Nikola Jokic, so it's easy to run good action. Yeah, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a good rest of your Sunday. Hopefully you enjoy your Monday. And we'll see if the Blazers can bounce back against the Suns. I know Gabe wanted to know if we're going to do a dual stream on Tuesday because it's against the Suns. Elizabeth Allen, that's funny. They're always unhappy. They could see my face or my name and they will melt down. It's really funny, actually. I like it. Nothing to say about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I don't know what you're talking about, Trevin. So Tuesday, I'll hop on Suns Valley podcast. Probably won't do a watch party over here, but I'll watch the game over there. So you guys, if you know them, if you don't know them, you can hop over to Suns Valley podcast. They do live watch parties in the middle of games, every game. So I will be there with those guys for the late tip-off time, 8 p.m. And then since, I don't know if you'll be there, Eric. I mean, you're always welcome, of course, as well. And since we're doing that, we'll probably, and since it's a late game, we'll probably do a little shorter post-game, I think. Since the post-game will start at like 10:30, or if it goes to overtime like this game, 11. So we've had a lot of early games, and now we get our first 8 p.m. tip-off time, because that's the new thing with NBC.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a good rest of your night. We're out of here.
Everyone.
Check out Sleeper. Promo code Uprise. Take advantage. And we're out of here. Until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.